see them conveniently?
They have the access to switch on their camera, Naren, sir, and
Samita has said that she will remain offline for some technical reason. So Naveen, please keep checking the chat box and respond to the participant accordingly. Chiranjay is already there with you. So between you and Pooja, please manage the participants. If there's any difficulty they have. Yeah. So good afternoon. My name is Padam Vijay. I shall be the moderator for the session today. I am associated with Smart Cities Mission. Uh, we have uh, we have a we are I would like to warm welcome you, all the participants, as well as the panelists today. We shall be having the technical clinic seminar webinar on industry technology solution on COVID-19. And uh, I, I would like to also thank Mr. Rahul Kapoor, Director of Smart Cities, who has joined us with us today. And we have lined up these specific sessions by two technology partners, Microsoft and ScanPoint, to take you through their solutions and offering to handle the pandemic that we are facing today. I hope the deliberation during the session will generate a lot of new ideas to address current requirement, the issues that you have, and the way forward. With these words, I welcome you once again and request Mr. Rahul Kapoor, Director Smart City, to open the session and deliver the keynote. Mr. Rahul Kapoor, please.
Thank you very much, Padam, and a very warm welcome to everyone. Of course, it's a hot summer, but luckily we are in a webinar in the confines of our room, so hopefully we'll be more comfortable than that. About Tech Clinic, this is the third iteration of a series of webinars that the Smart Cities Mission had decided to undertake on technology and data in the smart cities. We cover various topics ranging from integrated command and control centers, IoTs, artificial intelligence, data science, to best practices and learnings from various smart cities projects. It is an initiative, and I'm sure that we all get a lot. We get to learn a lot through peer-to-peer learning, through cross learnings, and through experience sharing that takes place in these webinars. And I would encourage all our smart cities to come and contribute and also share their experiences in between. Today, we have decided to change the format a bit. We want more of deliberations to take place, more of cities to participate, share their problems. So, as the word would suggest, tech clinic. So, this has to be a solutioning kind of a webinar wherein we discuss key issues and also try to take feedback from you on what is it that you would like to listen to and what is it that you would want us to cover. We'll try and get the best experts from over all across, whoever you want, and come and present before you, whether it's India, whether it's abroad, please let us know. And the Smart Cities Mission will try and connect. I would like to welcome all the participants, including our municipal commissioners, CEOs, MDs of smart cities, the PMCs, the master system integrators, city officers, industry partners, data enthusiasts, all our students and researcher communities to today's webinar. Today, our panelists come from a very diverse background and will talk about their solutions and offerings for the COVID-19 problem. They will share their experience of working with cities. Today we have Ms. Samhita Sharma. She is the head of Smart Infrastructure, Public Sector India and Microsoft. And Mr. Narendra Patel, who is the Senior Vice President of ScanPoint Geomatics. These are our panelists for the day. Today's webinar's episode is episode 3, which is on industry technology solutions for COVID-19. Now, our corporates we all keep talking about engagement with all stakeholders, something that not the government, it's not something that the government can do alone. It's all about collaboration between all stakeholders, be it industry, be it academia. So these are the steps that the industry has taken, that our corporates have taken. They have understood and realized what are the challenges that this COVID problem has thrown at all of us. And these are difficult times. These are new times. It requires new innovative way of working, new solutions. And of course, we are all very constrained with a lot of things that are happening, the procedures that we have in the government. and how all these companies have come forward offering their solutions on a pro bono basis to many of the cities to over tackle these testing times that we are all facing. We have two of such companies here. These are not the only ones. There are a whole range of corporates who have been working in the field and who have been trying to do their best to assist the cities and work in collaboration with them. So we have Microsoft, we have ScanPoint Geomatics, who will be presenting their technical solutions today. And of course, without taking much time, I would request our first speaker, Ms. Samhita Sharma, to take over and make the presentation. And before she starts, I would just like to say a few points for our attendees. In case you have any questions, there are two options. One is the question and answer in your control panel. There's a button over there. If you look at the sixth button in your control panel with the three dots, when you click on it, you will get an option for Q&A. I would request that your questions should be posted over there. And in case if you have any comment, if you want to indulge in a dialogue or discussion with any of the panelists or with the rest of the attendees, just want to make a comment, then you can probably use the chat function, which is the fifth button in your control panel. And I would now hand over the platform to Samhita from Microsoft. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor, for your kind word and keynote. Before the presentation comes up, I would also like to inform you that we have a facility of polls during this session, and you can see this in the chat box. And our team will be in between the session. Will be conducting these short polls. They will be visible to you for about 2 to 3 minutes only. And I request that please find time to keep looking for the window and sending your answers on the polls. We will try to give the results of the polls during the session itself, if possible. Our team in the backend will be working on that. Before, Samhita, is the presentation ready with you? Okay, she may take some time. I'm sure we are all thinking about COVID.
Padam, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Can you see the screen?
Just one sec. No, we are not able to see your screen, Samhita.
Okay.
Can host check it out, please? To all the attendees, I'm sure you would be, all your minds are occupied or preoccupied with COVID-19 thing day in, day out, what is happening around, why it is happening around, what is likely to further happen, what should we do about it? I think these are some of the questions in all part of life that we are facing today. From the technology standpoint, the question remains same. The answers may be different. At our homes, at our other places, the answers to the question may be different, but the question remains same. So these questions, some of the questions may be responded during this session and our future sessions. I would request all of you to keep posting your questions in the place that Mr. Rahul Kapoor just mentioned. And if you have any problem accessing any of the panels, please keep writing on the chat box. One of our team members will keep answering them. We should during this poll, we have tried to keep the questions very specific to the session today. Therefore, you'll find a lot of relevance with that. Samhita, I would request now you to over and take the presentation, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I believe my screen is visible. The information on the screen?
Yes, it is. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, a huge thank you for allowing and giving us an opportunity. As Microsoft, we remain privileged, we remain honored to be a part of the COVID-19 motion. The crisis is on, and every city has been doing inspiring effort to work towards solving for a bigger problem, which is beyond just solving for the citizens, but also enabling better governance at the same time. Thanks to the Smart City mission team for organizing Tech Clinic. This itself is an immense forum for organizations across India and worldwide to come together and share what they are doing to solve for or partnering with the government. With me, we have Anand Ponnaswamy. I'd want to introduce him in 2 seconds. He is our solution specialist and we call them the leads in solutions, which means when we talk Microsoft, we survive because of our solution specialists who come in the front and customize the solutions, ensure that the problems are taken care of as per the customer needs. He will be taking the questions post my presentation. I'm opening up the clinic discussion with this theory by Yuval, who says, no concept, no theory or idea is sacred and nothing is beyond challenge. This is the principle that Microsoft Public Sector India has followed when we went ahead and worked with multiple government departments. Today, we are privileged to have been working in India, about 0.65 million users who are leveraging Microsoft suite of solutions, not just in India, but not just in government, but across education and healthcare. We are also supporting field force, the COVID warriors, as we call them. We are supporting not-for-profit organizations. We are supporting hospitals, defense, and the list is endless. We thank all these departments on this platform to give us that opportunity, not just to solve for COVID, but to ramp up at a pace which is phenomenal. Microsoft is also proud to be associated with the Chief Minister's office in 2 states, who have been very, given us the privilege to engage, given us the privilege to customize solution to work for the citizens. Our stories in Microsoft with the government in the last 4.5 weeks has been inspiring. We have taken bites and we have been collecting the responses that we have got from multiple governments in Newswire and various other media forums, and we thank them. Of particular, we have been able to cull out these particular success stories that we call them, success defined by our ability to serve the country in these states, in these departments. Number 1 was what we call as chatbots. Now, chatbots can be built on the fly, but what virtual agents, Microsoft Power Virtual Agents does, it creates a chatbot which is AI enabled, artificial intelligence enabled. With NIC, we have seen a phenomenal success in terms of supporting the government departments through Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is not just a collaboration platform. We call it out in my own suite. I call it, you blend chat, you blend video conference, you blend e-office, and you, of course, take this entire suite and blend Exchange, which is calendars, messaging, working from on an office suite offline. All of these come together and get hosted in a secure for application, which is called Microsoft Teams.
Excuse me, Samita, if you can go a little slower, I think it will be nice for the audience to be more attentive and take questions, decide their questions. So you could go a little slower.
Absolutely. Thank you, Padam. In the COVID war rooms, we have been there across the COVID war rooms. We are there right now serving 5 smart cities with respect to the contact tracing application that they have developed, contact tracing being our first introduction to solve for COVID today, where the COVID warriors are leveraging these to be able to ensure a safe city. Government of Assam has leveraged Azure. It's phenomenally known as a cloud platform, but the beauty of Azure is it brings integration in one go. It ensures data residency in India, and it's secure with respect to the scalability and agility. The Health and Family Welfare Department of West Bengal has given us an opportunity to work with healthcare emergency response and also hosted their own COVID-19 application on Microsoft. In the North patch, we have worked with Government of Punjab. We are also working with Chhattisgarh to do something which we call Kova. Kova Punjab is a bot-based application. It's a menu-based bot application that has been developed by the state for the state with the help of Microsoft. And we have also gone ahead and are engaged with Chhattisgarh to have Power Apps built platform for COVID surveillance. The other immense story that we have been able to successfully serve the nation is with MCGM. It's with Maharashtra, whereby currently we have about 10,000 of the COVID warriors on an app which is called Microsoft Power Apps. We have named it for India as Jay Pandya has responded. Anand, if you want to respond. This is the third slide in the deck. I have changed the slide to our stories together in government. Padam, would you please be able to confirm if we are on the our stories together in government slide?
We are on the our story together in the government slide only.
Thank you. In MCGM, sorry.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. In MCGM, what we have developed is in less than 48 hours, we have built COVID surveillance app using Microsoft Power Apps platform. We call it a low code, no code, which means you don't need to be a coder or an engineer to build the app. You just need to know what are your fields, what are the dynamics that you want to capture, and the app can be built by the department for the department without any coding intervention or IT skill intervention. The beauty of this app is it has been rapidly adopted by states such as Delhi, West Bengal, Odisha, Chhattisgarh. Along with this, we have expanded the suite to healthcare emergency response, whereby you can take a consolidated view of all the COVID hospitals in your city in one go to be able to help the hospital with respect to supplies, to be able to help the hospital staff with respect to availability. So these are few of our contribution, as we call it, with the several state and central governments. We call it our stories. Moving to the next. What we bring into play is we call a solution pack, a 9-feature solution pack. In the last 4.5 to 5 weeks that India has evidenced, we have been working with 20 plus states, about 70 plus departments across state and central, and have been learning from them and curating our solution accordingly. These 9-pack solutions are supposed to help a city at different wave of their life cycle in COVID. So if a city is in the first wave, whereby you have, let's say, 10 to 15 cases registered and you are looking at an emergence of COVID, the first thing that we submit to the city is, please enable a remote and secure workforce or a remote and secure work environment, not for just for the government workforce, but also for the COVID warriors. This is paperless, as we earlier mentioned. This should be followed up by all of us have a lot of desktop which has applications running in. Microsoft can support with virtual desktop as a feature. If you have an office environment right now, you don't need anything else. This is an activated Azure service on your Office 365. The third is identification of COVID cases. It is imperative for you to, for a city to go ahead and enable contact tracing to sample collection, all with limited physical intervention. Also remembering that every city will be unique in its DNA of addressing the requirement by the virtue of culture, by virtue of requirement, by virtue of voice. And we recommend or request the city to explore COVID for the COVID field officer and city can jointly come together and determine how your COVID surveillance app should look like. You can build it by yourself, as I said, in less than 24 hours. Whenever a city wants to update the app with new features, you don't have to do a downtime. You don't need coding. You can do it at the back end on the fly by the respective nodal officers or the team, tech team that is developing the app or updating the features. In the second wave, we have been considerably requiring an integrated command and control center because we want an integrated dashboard. When we say that command and control center, the command and control center in respective cities are already existing. Hence, please leverage that environment, that infrastructure. However, please add dynamic dashboard to it. How we recommend to add dynamic dashboard is with this solution called Power Business Intelligence. In Power Business Intelligence, you have dynamic features, which means you can build your own dashboards. This should be followed by how you can help in healthcare or hospital and quarantine institution. The travelers are going to flow in, a lot of homecoming is happening in the city, but to enable a seamless citizen experience and ensure that supplies of meals, commodities, medicine, telemedicine is provided, we would request for supplies management, healthcare management, and quarantine management as part of second wave. The final wave is where we say that we need to have a consistent communication with the citizen. The citizen should know from the city one information and one source of truth. That can be enabled by something we call chatbots. It is called Power Virtual Agents, which is enlightened, or we call it is light up with chat or a service center, which can work with the municipal corporations and the workforce. The final is SOP adherence. As we open up and the lockdown relaxes, which is in the mature state for a lot of city, we will need to ensure that the SOP violations are taken care of. And hence we recommend 8 and 9, where your own workforce can be dynamically scheduled and you can manage the citizen urban infrastructure with respect to SOP violation. This is the last content that we have. I will not be explaining or deep diving on this. This is more or less an enterprise architecture. This is not a logical flow, but this is how Microsoft comes with its entire suite to create a service operations center for a city, a state, a department to be able to tackle and recover from COVID. I'm at the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Samita, for enlightening us with your offering and the solutions. And I'm sure these kind of bouquet of offering that you have will help city to explore and decide their course of action in order to tackle COVID pandemic. I would now request Narinder to take over and make his presentation for their solution from his point. Narinder. Meanwhile, I would request all attendees to keep looking for the chat box and also the polls that we have just come up. The poll which is already displaying on your screen is how long should an app take to build? And there are 4 alternates that you can choose from. And I would request the host to keep monitoring this polling. Publish the result at the end of the question answer. Thank you so much. Mr. Narinder, please start the presentation.
Thanks, Padam, for this opportunity.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, and kindly go ahead.
Yeah, fine. Thanks, Padam. Thanks, Mr. Kapoor, and thanks everyone from the Mahua team for giving us this opportunity to showcase and present the kind of work that we've done for COVID monitoring and tracking. Just a little brief about what we do. We basically a COTS, GIS and image processing software company. We're an indigenous software company in the field of GIS and image processing. And we are currently engaged in providing a lot of smart city solutions to about 7-8 corporations, 7-8 smart cities across the country. And when this pandemic happened, we were approached by these customers to help in whatever way we could do to enable them to track and monitor the spread of this pandemic. If you look at it, the entire solution that we have revolves around having a single repository of the data and then trying to use all kind of analysis for monitoring and tracking. So all aspects related to COVID-19 for all categories of patients like quarantine, suspects, are centrally available with any corporation, any smart city, which is enabling them to do all kind of analysis and tracking. Now, as I mentioned, we are basically a GIS platform provider. So the platform that we have gives you a GIS-based analysis. There can be multiple options of doing analysis for the data. That's heat map, clusters, which is basically helping a lot of customers in identifying the spread of the pandemic. Once this data is populated on the platform, it also enables our customers to do a time series analysis whereby they can predict, looking at the trend in the past couple of days, couple of weeks, they are able to predict as to how it is going to move ahead and what are the targeted interventions and actions that they need to take to tackle this pandemic. One of the key things is that there are a lot of epicenters which have emerged from where this has started. So it helps us to map this epicenter and to identify and contain the spread at the source itself. Since all the data is available in real time on the platform and on the application, it helps all the regulatory bodies to create a containment zone on the map wherein the corporation and the law enforcement agencies can figure out as to which are the containment zones and what can be the probable points of entry and exit restrictions to ensure that this does not spread further. Rightly, as was told by my earlier presenter, that one of the basic thing is that a lot of rumor mongering happens in these times. So best is that if the information that we have currently available with the corporation, the information dissemination helps better awareness with the citizens. This platform also helps us to map the response capacity and infrastructure of various clusters and also improve our response to the pandemic. The solution that we have is basically a mobile responsive app available on web and mobile both, and it can be viewed from anywhere to get the relevant information available to the citizens. Basically, the kind of data that is required to be plotted on the system there are multiple data, like what are the one is the cases mapping with location and time in terms of what are the positive cases, suspects, high risk quarantine, so various categories as defined by the healthcare officials. Second is a containment zone, wherein we had defined red zone, orange zone, and green zone. And then there are a lot of essential services that were allowed to operate in these critical times. They also have to be mapped. So, for example, hospital, care center, medicine stocks, medicine equipments, employees, extended medical resources, etc. So all these, once the more information that we plot and put in the data on the system, it gives us a better analysis tool to take decision. Now, parallel to that, what we have done is we have developed an app which is known as IGS Geolocator, which is available on the Google Play Store. This is downloadable by the suspects. So wherein once they download it, it gets activated using a combination of a face recognition and GPS both. Hence, you have a factual data as to the person utilizing the face recognition is the actual patient, and using the GPS, it gives you an exact geolocation of the person at that point of time, which also helps us to create a virtual geofence depending on the criticality of the patient. As I just mentioned, that since it is basically a mobile app linked to a portal, it is a real-time data that gets updated and alerts are there. So depending on the criticality of the patients, we are basically able to geofence, and the moment a patient moves out of the geofence, there's an alert which goes back to the corporation to enable them to take an action. And it is both ways, a person moving out of the geofence or someone entering the geofence, for example, into the containment area. So in both the cases, there's an update and alert which is triggered, which enables the required authorities to take according action. Now, this is what we spoke about the current pandemic as to how do we track and monitor them. But going forward, once the lockdown is lifted, there will be a Herculean task left with the authorities to identify, trace, track, isolate, and treat the patients or all the suspects. So basically, this platform enables the authorities for having an e-pass using a mobile app to identify the contact tracing if visitor is found positive subsequently, wherein you can do an entire contact tracing as to where all has he moved and who all has he come contact with. There's a brief on the mobile IGS Geolocator mobile app. As I mentioned, it is available on the Google Play Store. It basically uses two ways of authentication. One is the face recognition. Second is the location. So it gives you the factual data of the patient and also the exact geolocation of the person where he's standing. And the moment a mobile app is downloaded by anyone, it does an automatic city detection using the GPS location and the auto register at the server side. Once the patient is registered with the portal, depending on the criticality, we can apply a geofencing rule and this geofencing rule can be applied to a single user, to a group of people, or to multiple people. Now, supposing any probable patient has moved out of the required or the allotted geofence, there's an automated alarm which goes to the user, to the corporation, to verify. And also what we have done on the face recognition part of it, there's a manual alarm which goes where the user has to verify the location using a face recognition and to help eliminate possible deception or proxies. So this we have developed this to ensure that the factual data goes back to the authorities. As I mentioned, that it's a mobile app using a GPS, mobile GPS. Now the question that would come to people is, what is the reliability and the quality of the GPS and the accuracy? Now, depending on the patient or the thing being monitored, if it is we have kept parameters or fields in terms of minimum distance, time, frequency. For example, if it is a person who's going to get registered on this, then the time frequency will be say 5 minutes or 10 minutes, wherein every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or a predefined interval, a signal goes back from the mobile to the portal, thereby establishing where the person is. We are also using this platform to track a lot of vehicles which are moving, which are emergency vehicles which are moving, which will be fitted with the GPS. Since the vehicle movement is a little faster, the time frequency for them has to be kept at a lower gap, lower interval. Now, there are multiple mapping options that we have that our solution deploys. For example, as I just mentioned, that this request had come to us from our customers who are implementing a smart city solution, wherein we are creating a customized base map for them. So base map can be one mapping option. Second mapping option can be a Google or Bing or OSM, any one of them. And then there's an option of adding a customer POI layer. Now, the moment a patient has downloaded the mobile app and it has been geofenced by the required authorities, there are multiple options of doing a geofencing. It can be either a point or a line or a polygon or a buffer. So if it is, for example, a vehicle is moving, it can be a straight line or a line with buffer on both sides of it. If it is a single person or a single individual, it can be a point buffer or a point geofence. But the moment we talk about a containment zone or a red zone, which is a larger area, there we can do a geofencing using a polygon after applying some buffer alarms. As I had just mentioned, that there's an option of setting an alarm and alert for both options, where if at all a person is moving out of the geofence area or if unauthorized person is moving inside the geofence area. In both cases, alarm is set and the authorities will get an alert. Similarly, a lot of times we have come across in the past where people complain that my battery was low and I went out, my battery died down and I was out, I was not connected and I was off GPS. So what we have done, we've also added a feature in this mobile app where it will enable the authorities to understand the battery level of the mobile used by the patient, wherein if at all they feel that it is going below a certain level, they can always call up and alert them. Now, another feature that we've added is a reverse geocoding to find the address. So normally, typically what happens, if at all we find a person moving in any geography, the moment we click on that, using a reverse geocoding technology, we are able to figure out the exact street address or the address of the person where he's standing. An additional feature that we've done, supposing it is a containment zone where people are moving. So if at all there are some positive cases who are currently configured or being tracked by the corporation, it gives you the entire location history of the person, where he has moved, chart in the summary report. I'll show you the subsequent slide on a screenshot on this. As I just mentioned, alert is generated in both cases, in case of geofence violation, low battery, or even in case of no response. Supposing I am a patient and carrying a mobile, and if I am not responding, an alarm will be triggered on my mobile, which will get only, the alarm will only go off the moment I click a selfie, which will be a geotagged photograph.
Narinder, you will have to move a little faster. We are
sure. I'll just skip through it. And then the
another
40% of sorry, Gadan.
Another 2 minutes for you, please.
I know that. These are the sample dashboards. So as I mentioned, there are multiple customers who are using it. This request had come from our existing customers like Agra, Dehradun, UP. Now, Agra has been using it to a very, very large extent. I'll just come to the subsequent slide on that. This slide is basically from East Singhbhum, which is Jamshedpur. Now, they are using it only for quarantine monitoring. All the migrant population which is going back to Jamshedpur, they're using this app only to monitor them. This is the kind of report. If you look at the bottom part of the screen, you could see the report. And there are lines which show. So basically, it will show that a person in which direction has he moved, what time, latitude, longitude, time, stamp, address, everything is available for the authority to monitor it. Agra, as I just mentioned, has been using it. This is one of our oldest customers, has been using it for a very, very extensive base. So they have created multiple containment zones and they have mapped them according to the criticality, and they're using it. Now, this is a summary. This is a dashboard that is available with Agra Smart City, wherein entire data is available to them in terms of total number of patients confirmed, active, recovered, and deaths. And if you look at the center screen, there's an epicenter map. So it will give you that the epicenter was Kamla Nagar, description null, and it gives you the entire detail of how many people and what time it had happened. Yet another map where we are using the same map as a spot analysis. This is the data from Uttar Pradesh. UPRSAC has been using it. This has been displayed as a heat map, where you can see the district-wise count of patients is mentioned on the right column. Just one, if you look at the center of the screen, the moment I click on a particular screen, it will tell me, it's showing me name, Kannauj, number of beds 30. So I can easily map that if there are so many cases in this particular district and there are so many beds, how do I take care of my healthcare infra to cater to this pandemic? Then again, a cluster map and a health infra map. Number of beds depending on the location. This is basically a case load. So all various kind of reports can be drawn from this. And then this is on the dashboard itself, we have a space wherein the respective corporation or customer can do the required information dissemination depending on whatever they want to pass on the message to the citizens of the corporation. 2 slides on us. As I just mentioned, we basically an indigenous COTS, GIS and image processing software company. Our product is basically a joint development partnership with ISRO. And we cater to the entire geospatial industry, GIS, image processing, photogrammetry and CAD. And rightly, as said, we bolster of the government of India initiatives of Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. That's all I have to say, Kadam. Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you, Narinder, for your detailed presentation on the offer that you have for the COVID-19. Now I would throw the house open for question and answer hour, and we have received so many questions during the session. I'll take them one by one. Please keep looking for the window and post your questions. Also look for the poll that we have enabled just now. Please keep responding to them. The question that I have received, this question is for Samita. The question says, are the entire 9 steps offered by Microsoft through a software, or Microsoft enables all these functions through another OEM? Samita, can you respond to this?
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
So it's a blend. The answer is that it is a blend. Microsoft Teams Power Apps platform, which is no code, low code, are our own solution platforms. We offer that as a product or an application. It's not a software. We wouldn't call it a software. It's a platform. However, if there are already existing third-party applications that you are running, which needs to be integrated to a Power BI dashboard, that is absolutely possible, and it's a very thin API integration, which is doable.
There's a follow-up question to you on this, Samita. How about getting a real-time alert as SMS, and whether the chatbot that you have is on a real-time basis?
The answer is yes.
Thank you so much. We'll take another question. How does the Power BI, as briefed by yourself, would help Smart City comprehensively?
So a Power BI, the beauty of Power BI are 3. Number 1, it does not have any static features, which means you build your own dashboards, your version, your visualization. Number 2, it is agnostic of whose software or application is running at the city, which means if you have an existing software, fantastic, we will link it to give you the data insights. And number 3 is it is also agnostic of a platform, which means you can do it by the fly by your department for audit, which means it is not just a reporting dashboard. You can also cull out reports for your own audits, for monitoring what are the success stories, because that helps you define your reforms and policy. These are the 3 value proposition of Power BI.
Thank you, Samita. I hope the attendee has got the response as expected by him or her. In case there are further questions or queries on this, you can keep posting another question on the panel. We'll try to respond them during this session. I have a question from Itanagar Smart City. This question may be relevant to one of you. I'm not sure who could respond that, but let me pose this question to you. Itanagar Smart City is working on Wi-Fi based GPS tracking, portable GPS device for Arunachal Pradesh to track containment zones. But we are facing issue with device packaging. So how can we resolve the problem of packaging? Can we explore 3D printers? So can Narinder or you?
I didn't get to Kadam. If you don't mind, could you please repeat the question, please?
Okay, I'll repeat that. Itanagar Smart City is working on Wi-Fi based GPS tracking portable GPS devices for Arunachal Pradesh for tracking containment zones. But we are facing issue with device packaging. So how can we resolve this problem of packaging? Can we explore 3D printers?
Kadam, if there's a problem with the Wi-Fi device, I mean, if at all I could get connected to the gentleman, I could speak to him and figure out. We will have to figure out what is the accuracy they're looking at and the way they're going about, because we are implementing about 7-8 locations, 7-8 smart cities. Nowhere we have faced this kind of problem with respect to Wi-Fi quality or Wi-Fi based devices.
Okay, we'll take another follow-up question on this. If Itanagar city can post their question further on this, we can try to get the response in the call itself. We go to the next question. We are talking a lot about Arogya Setu application. Now, how do these applications, which you have projected now, is RX compared to Government of India Arogya Setu application? So can you respond?
So I'll take a. If it's okay with you.
Yeah, please go ahead. Otherwise, if you want, I can pitch in later. No issues. Please carry on, Samshit. Yeah.
Thank you. Anand, you are on the call. I would request you to add in once I share the inputs. Thank you. So our
Sure, Samir.
is an absolute, thank you, is an application that is already there. The solutions that we have presented today, which cities have taken forward, are complementing. They're not substituting. They do not substitute Arogya Setu. The reason is very simple. Arogya Setu is for citizens to be able to ensure they're alert, aware, and they can self-support themselves during COVID. Power applications, COVID surveillance, contact tracing, healthcare emergency response are more for the government departments and for governance to ensure that your interaction with the citizen is seamless. The only thing that I forgot to mention during our presentation is Microsoft from Satya's desk has taken this initiative. This is a worldwide initiative that all these applications or suites are offered on 6 months trial basis for free. We are not requesting for any commercial. The reason is very simple. This is an empathetic extension to solve for the citizen problems, and these are all complementing applications. Anand, over to you if I have missed any.
You've covered every point, Samita. As you rightly mentioned, it is primarily for government departments and the hospitals. The applications where Arogya Setu is primarily for the citizens.
If I can add something here.
Yes, Narinder, please.
Yeah, if you look at Arogya Setu, it is basically a general citizen app, as Samita mentioned, right? But the difference between Arogya Setu and our app is a tracking solution for quarantine, not a general healthcare app, right? So, for example, currently Dehradun, what Uttarakhand is doing, all this migrant population that is going back to Uttarakhand from various locations, they are using this app to trace them, to track them for 15 days of quarantine. So that's a basic difference, actually.
Thank you, Narinder. There is a follow-up question for Samhita. You mentioned about the offering from Microsoft available as a trial run. There's a question from one of the cities saying that how do we activate such trial services?
It is pretty simple and straightforward. Please drop me an email and Anand and I will personally take it forward. It's a leadership initiative. So the leaders, the very simple process. Just drop an email and we'll get that activated. It's a promo code that we generate in our system. I don't want to bore you with transaction, but the promo code is what the environment that you are going to use. And the environment is for free.
Thank you, Samita. I'll take to the next question. Can something be done for cities to get information from other states? Of knowing the authority to contact, helplines at the moment do not have information on whom to contact from the other state and where one wants to go. I think this question is non-relevant to the current session. We'll take that question separately and respond to the attendee after this session. I'll go to another question.
If it is, okay, I'll take 2 seconds. This is actually done by one of the states. Client confidentiality, we will not name it. What they have done is they have deployed an interconnecting collaboration tool to be aware which states, which particular nodal officers are the ones they are going to interact with. Thank you.
Thank you, Samita. Next question is, geofencing area is set to how many meters? Can Narendra reply to this?
See, geofencing area it depends. I mean, if at all you look at an individual, for example, if you were trying to geofence an individual, now earlier days when the pandemic had just begun, it was mandatory for everyone to go to a hospital and get quarantine done in the hospital. But now the kind of crowd that is there in the hospital, typically authorities are advising if it is an asymptomatic patient and if it's only a quarantine, you do a home quarantine. So if you at all there is a person who's doing a home quarantine and where the authority wants to monitor, it can be a few meters, just a diameter or a circle area of the thing. But the moment we're trying to do a geofence of an entire containment area or a red zone, it will be, so it is user configurable. As far as we are concerned, it is user configurable. A customer or an authority can configure it the way they, depending case to case basis.
Normally the geofence, the GPS accuracy is say sub 50 meters or so. I think that's the question that is coming in for.
Yeah, it's 50 to 100 meters. Normally geofence is 50 to 100 meters. Usually it is about 50 to 100 meters.
So there's a follow-up question on this. What map API that are being used for this?
Map API.
Yes.
Base map. It's a base map API. So, for example, if at all there is a corporation who's implemented a smart city for whom you've created a base map, they'll be using a base map API. But if there's a corporation where there is no base map readily available, you can use a Google or a Bing or any API, any freeware.
Okay. Now, since the mobile phone is being used for these purposes, there are supposed to be or anticipated to be some privacy breach. Can you throw some light on the observation or the skepticism that is prevailing in the industry of breaching of the personal privacy?
Okay. Now, normally what happens, the moment a suspect or a patient downloads the mobile app, what is taken to register him on the portal is his name, his mobile number, and city. City is drop-down menu. Only 3 things. We are not taking any other data. Nothing else. We are only trying to trace where the gentleman is, when the mobile moves. That's all. Nothing else.
Okay. This question is for Samita. In terms of capacity planning, any of your solutions, can it inform the users about the healthcare capacity which is around them? There are multiple cases in which patients are forced to go to the hospital to get admitted from, often leading to fatalities. So what kind of capacity planning tools that are inbuilt into your solution?
Okay, this is Anand here.
Definitely do that. Sure.
Okay. Thanks, Amita. So basically, right, the healthcare emergency response solution gives you a real-time view of bed availability, including the ICU beds. Hopefully, if the data is entered correctly at the hospitals on the bed occupancy and discharge details, you will get a real-time visibility of the available capacity in each of the hospitals, including the ventilator availability.
Okay, thank you so much, Anand. I have next question with me. Just one sec. These all kind of applications generally require, patient or the citizen database, their addresses, their phone numbers, and other databases. So what are kind of security features that are built into your platform and the solution?
Okay. Primary security is through username and password. So for all these applications which we were talking about, primary security is taken care through Azure Active Directory, which supports multi-factor authentication, which means that you will get an OTP message on your phone before you log in and access the data. And this first level of second level of security is like during the transit, the data is completely encrypted. No one else other than authorized users can access this particular data. Third level of security is based on the roles. Say, for example, I am a ward officer in a particular ward. I will be able to see only ward level data when the district regional health officer logs in, they'll be able to see the data for that particular region, I mean, various wards, and state level nodal officer logging in will be able to see the entire data. So you will be able to set the permissions for various roles and various users.
Okay, can city be comfortable in terms of protecting whatever privacy or the personal information that are attached to your application? They're completely secured.
Completely secure. Application you are going to build using Power Platform is by default GDPR compliant. The platform itself is GDPR compliant, so it is in compliance with data privacy laws.
I'll just add to it.
Sorry, please go ahead.
Just to add, Microsoft Teams, which is a collaboration, so does Power BI. The beauty is that this is run on data security as a platform.
Padam?
Yes, please.
In our case, what we do is the moment we create an instance for a specific customer on our cloud, we hand over the login credentials and the admin panel to the government authorities of the respective smart city or respective corporation. It is operated by them. So we have no access to the data. It is operated by the government, rendered from the clouds. As simple as that. And it's a multi-factor authentication done.
Thank you, Narinder. In one of the presentations, it was mentioned that mobile apps are available in the Google Play Store. Are they also available on iOS?
Not as of now. Currently, we have ported only on the Google Play Store.
Okay. There's a question about, it's a question to both the panelists. What do the panelists think about the role of disruptive technologies such as AR, MR in the post-COVID world? Can one of the panelists reply to this? I will repeat the question. What do the panelists think about the role of disruptive technologies such as AR and VR in the post-COVID-19 world?
Padam, I'll take a shot because I'm looking at it. Anand?
Go ahead, Samita.
Okay, so in view of the... Sorry.
Please go ahead.
We are actually looking at virtual command and control center, and we have been exposing that to few of the states as well. It's becoming the new norm. The reasons are not because just COVID. Post-COVID, e-learning will be extremely critical because citizens are not going to be very comfortable with their children going to schools, exams happening. Social distancing will become a norm for a few days. So virtual command and control center, e-learning and telemedicine, teleconsultation are something that we are looking as an emerging trend in India, not outside India, in India.
Okay, so that's a response to the question. We'll go to the next.
With respect to GIS, if you look at from the GIS perspective, a lot of corporations are looking at a 3D city option now. This will definitely help us facilitate and manage effectively from a city administrative point of view. As of now, most of the corporations were on 2D smart city, but now people are talking about 3D smart cities.
Okay, thank you so much, Narinder. We've all been talking about AI, ML, and the chatbot based on AI. These are all emerging technologies that we see in the market, and they're mushrooming every now and then. However, there are a lot of apprehension about these kind of technologies. And how do you see the uptake of these technologies as we move forward during the COVID time as well as post-COVID scenario? Because as you see, there are a lot of need and interest from the urban sector as well as from the government to look for these kind of technologies to improve their city operation. But however, the adoption has not been as much. How do you think these AI-based chatbot systems to get more get used and embraced by the urban cities? Anand, if you can respond.
So we talked about Power Virtual Agents, which is AI-based chatbot. So these chatbots can be quickly deployed. For example, if you look at Sati chatbot, MyGov Sati chatbot, it was deployed in like less than 2 days time or 3 days time. Similarly, right after the government announced the moratorium for the bank loans, especially for EMIs, most of the banks were getting huge number of calls to their contact center. So deploying this chatbot quickly on their web page helped them deflect some of the contact center scenarios where the call volume got drastically reduced because they were able to get the responses on the chatbots. So definitely chatbots will help on reducing some of the load on to the contact center and also the government interactions. At the same time, right, given that we have to maintain the social distancing and the travel may be even restricted for a longer time by various organizations, the augmented reality and mixed reality solutions will help you serve your customers by looking at equipments in real time from a remote location. Say, for example, like we are working with one of the government organization to see how they can do the inspection of the complex equipments remotely. So that's what these technologies enable without being physically present and doing all the required activities from a remote location. So you do not need the skilled labor to be there physically in front of that particular equipment. Somebody who's nearby can go to that equipment, help the AR/MR solutions will help in doing the remote diagnosis and handling of those equipments.
Thank you, Anand. We are coming closer to the
Padam, one last remark from me. If you look at from a GIS perspective, AI and ML is already there. Now, for example, we use ML in image processing. When we talk about an advanced change detection, basically from a city perspective, in terms of change encroachment analysis or illegal construction, we are anyway using ML. And then currently we're talking about drone or satellite image processing using ML, which is very, very useful. So anyway, GIS is implementing these technologies. Even we use it for agriculture, forest and water body change detection.
Thank you, Narinder. We are getting a lot of good responses in the questions from the audience. Thank you so much, audience. You have been such a nice audience, and the questions are also of a very high quality. Some of because of the paucity of time, we may not be able to answer all the questions, but we would like to inform you that these questions will be taken up with a lot of sensitivity, and if there's any action required on that, those will be taken. I'll take one last question on this panel, and then we'll look forward to concluding this session. I would request host if you can publish the poll results in the meanwhile on the window. That will be very helpful if you are able to do it during the call. I'll take this one last question. Just one sec. So the question is related to home quarantine, because you see that a lot of people are right now in home quarantine, and the government may or may not know, obviously, because whoever is in the home quarantine, they are not able to track them. But citizens always know, themselves. Now, how can these home quarantine cases, which are reported by citizens, be integrated with the government monitoring application which exists today?
See, in case of GIS, the moment if supposing there's a person who's doing a home quarantine, all he does is he downloads the app and registers himself. The moment he enters his name, mobile number in the city, it will automatically get registered logged to the portal, and from there on he'll get traced. And from the base location, then the quarantine starts and he gets tracked from there.
Thank you, Narinder. Thank you so much, both the panelists, for taking us through the question and answer session. And we are now coming to the closer of this webinar. I would request Mr. Rahul Kapoor, Director Smart Cities, to deliver his closing remarks on this webinar and the way forward that we look forward to. Can I have Mr. Rahul Kapoor?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Padam, and thank you to our panelists for the day for this excellent showcasing of what is being done by the corporates with regard to the COVID challenge and how they can actually help and assist smart cities. I would like to mention that there are a lot of solutions available, and please feel free to get in touch and see what is most suitable for your city as per your discretion and as per your requirements. We have a list of such organizations who have approached us in the ministry, and we have been sharing with you. As you already know, that there was a BBMP war room that was created in collaboration with all our industry partners.
Not able to hear you, Mr. Kapoor.
I think somebody had muted me while I was speaking. Okay, so yeah, so it was basically a list of such platform solutions. They are all available. We have already worked with BBMP, and we created a cover solution which we had already informed all the smart cities and other cities as well. We informed like all the state governments. So whichever city wants to make best use of technology in order to meet their local context, and accordingly they can approach them. We will help you get in touch with some of them if you require, and whoever is working for you, whoever suits you, you can probably learn from them and adopt the best practices. And finally, I'm sure we will all come out through these tough times. And I would just like to inform there are more such webinars that are happening in the Smart Cities mission. Tech Clinic is one such series. There's another series of Urban Log, wherein we, along with ITDP, are trying to work on mobility issues that cities are facing, and especially how the new normal is going to affect mobility. Transportation is, of course, a very important problem. So some of you who are interested in that, please join the Urban Log. We'll also have City Speak in the month of July, wherein our smart cities, based on their experience, they will be sharing their views. So that is another series which is planned for the month of July. Next month, of course, in June, there will be a series of again tech clinics that will be happening. A series of Urban Log will happen. There's a series on PPP, public-private partnership, that the Smart Cities Mission is conducting. So those of you who have got PPP projects, you can join one of those. We have shared this calendar of all the webinars that we are going to undertake. We'll also post it in our Twitter handle. So please go through that. And I once again would like to thank everyone for being a part of this third Tech Clinic. Thank you so much. That we close the session.
Thank you, Mr. Rahul Kapoor. And before I close this session for all, I would like to again thank all the participation for their active involvement in this session. The question and answer have been noted down, and we shall be sending you the outcome of today's session to an email to all the participants registered with us, and along with the presentations. And also, you know, the smart cities are all about co-creation and